Have you ever had a brilliant idea or set amazing goals for yourself that you're so excited about, but then just given up? Or maybe you didn't even start it. Maybe you hit your first hurdle or obstacle and gave up. Maybe you thought it was just simply out of reach. Or maybe that self-doubt crept in and you didn't really believe that you could do it. Well, you are not alone. The University of Bristol conducted a study and found out that only 8% of people actually stick to their New Year's resolutions. And if you want to see that for yourself and see the proof of that, head to a gym in January and then a few weeks later go back and you will see how many people have dropped off. If this sounds like you, you're going to want to keep watching. In this video, I'm going to share my top 5 tips that I've picked up in my time as a coach and my journey through personal development and the countless failures I've had at sticking to my own goals. This is going to help you break this cycle and achieve anything you set out to do. Hi, my name's Jake. I'm a rapid transformational therapist and a rapid transformational coach. And this topic is really close to my heart. Throughout my whole life, I struggled with sticking to my goals to the point where I'd stopped even setting them, to the point where I believed that I couldn't change. And this is just the person that I was supposed to be. But I'm here to tell you that's not the case. You can make a change and you can be the person that you know you deserve to be. My first tip is to visualize what you want to achieve. This is possibly one of the most important parts of setting and sticking to your goals. Your brain doesn't actually always know what's real. And so by visualizing what it is you want to achieve, your brain is allowing you to experience and feel what it's going to be like to actually get there. Take a moment and think, if you've set yourself a goal, have you actually thought what that's going to look like? Have you really broken it down and got really specific with it? If you want to set an intention or a goal to exercise more or go to the gym more, have you visualized yourself doing that? Have you made that familiar? Our brain loves what's familiar and it doesn't like what's unfamiliar. But because it doesn't always know what's real and what isn't, if you can visualize yourself going to the gym, actually doing the thing that you want to do, then you're making it familiar for yourself and making it much easier to achieve. And here's a personal example for you. I have a big dream, and I have had for a long time, of living on a farm, owning lots of animals. And my wife and I have been visualizing this future for a good few years now. The first year that we started doing this, we actually ended up living in a camper van on a farm. The second year of doing that, we moved back into a house, but in the middle of a sheep farm. And in that year, we actually ended up taking on some sheep of our own. And so when I look back at each time that I've visualized this goal, I've taken a closer step towards it. And it's important to remember that I'm not expecting to move into this farm overnight. I understand what is realistic and that it could take maybe 10 years, but I'm happy to continue with those visualizations, knowing that each year I'm taking a step closer towards it. And that is much more realistic than me thinking I'm going to move into a farm overnight. When visualizing this farm, I've kept it really specific. Sometimes in my visualizations, things pop up that I wasn't expecting. Previously, I did a visualization and I saw some pigs that I didn't even know I wanted. Well, as it happens, I've now got some pigs coming as well. So also allow your visualizations to be creative, get really specific, see yourself living out, playing out what it is that you want to achieve. And every time you do, you're moving yourself closer and closer towards it. And a really important thing to remember when you're visualizing your goals is to visualize the reason that you want to do it, the reason you want to achieve this. Your goal has to have a why, and it has to have a strong why. Your goals must impact you and the people around you. So I want you to pause for a moment and write down your goal. And underneath that, I want you to write down your why, the reason you want to achieve your goal. And then I want you to break that down into the habits that you need to change or to develop to achieve what you want. And then for each of those, I want you to explain how you're going to make that fun, and how you're going to make it easy so that you can really stick to your goals. Tip number 2 is to focus on the small steps. We've got specific with our goal. We've seen the big picture, but now we need to break that down into small, actionable, achievable steps, daily habits that will get us there. If you want to climb a mountain, you don't jump straight to the summit. No, you look at the summit, you know that it's there. You decide that that's your destination, but you have to focus on the pathway to it, each step that will get you there. Otherwise you could miss the rocks underneath and you could miss an enjoyable part of the journey. And if you focus purely on the outcome, if you think too big picture all the time, this can actually become overwhelming. It can either serve as a reminder as how far away from our goal we are, and it can make it seem like it's unachievable. If I said to you, can you climb a mountain? You'd probably say no. But if I said, can you just take a step forward for me? It's likely that you're going to say yes. And that's how we need to approach our goals. When my clients are often anxious or overwhelmed by their goals, I find it's because they are focusing on the destination. They're focusing on where it is they need to go and not on the small steps that it's going to take to get them there. And when we focus on these small steps, that big goal, what it is that they really want, becomes more achievable and more realistic every day. Which leads us nicely onto tip number 3. Make it fun. You may have heard of the marshmallow test, but they discovered that children who were happy to wait for a second marshmallow instead of immediately eat the first one they were given were actually more successful in life. The ability to delay gratification is important, but our brains are also wired to process short-term gratification. So if we can make these small steps along the way to achieving our goal more instantly gratifying, it's going to make the whole process more enjoyable and much easier for you as well. You could use a habit tracker. You could just write a simple list. You'd be surprised how gratifying and enjoyable it is to just tick something off. And make sure you celebrate your success. And that doesn't mean celebrate the success just at the end. Celebrate the milestones that you achieve along the way. It could be getting an accountability buddy who's going to reinforce and celebrate those positive changes you're making. So I want you to pause for a moment and just think about your goal. Write it down. And then I want you to think about the habits you need to develop to get you to where you need to be. And once you've written down those habits you need to develop, I want you to write down, how am I going to stick to them? How am I going to make them more fun? How can I make it as easy as possible for me to do this? And this is where we really start to set ourselves up for success. Tip number 4 is to talk about it. This could be having an accountability buddy that you communicate your goals to. And they're also there to share your progress with and to celebrate your small wins, which of course makes it instantly gratifying. Or it could simply be joining a group that shares your ambition or reinforces the behavior that you want. If you want to read more books, join a book club. You're part of a community that encourages that behavior and therefore you're more likely to stick to it. One thing I do every year is create a manifesto written in the present tense that describes who I am, what I want to achieve, and how I'm going to do that. And I share that with my clients, my friends, my family, and it really holds me accountable and helps me stick to my goals. Tip number 5, change the way you see yourself. This is the one tip that ties everything together. And if you only remember one thing from this video, it should be this. We act in a way that is consistent with the way that we see ourselves. It's not about doing the thing. It's about becoming the person who does the thing naturally and enjoys it. One of the main ways to change how you see yourself is to change how you speak to yourself. This could be through affirmations or statements of truth, as Marissa Peer calls them, reminding yourself that I am capable, I am confident, I am enough, I can do this. And it can also be just changing the language that you use every day. For example, I struggled with stopping smoking for a long time. And that was until I changed the way that I was talking about it and the language that I used to describe it. Originally, I was using restrictive language. Don't do this. I can't do that. You're not allowed to do this. And when we forbid ourselves of doing something, it makes it all the more appealing. And so I changed the language, the way I was talking about my goal, to something that was more empowering, that was allowing me to gain something. I was gaining more freedom, more control. I had the choice. And all of a sudden, it became very easy and simple for me to change my habits. Because being a smoker is an identity and I was acting in a way that was congruent with that identity. A weightlifter is also an identity and you don't have to force them to go to the gym. They do it naturally because they enjoy it and it's part of who they are. So we need to just take a moment, think about the way that you're speaking to yourself and the way that you're describing your goals. Are you trying to do something or are you just doing it? It can be that simple. So I could give you endless tips to help you stick to your goals. And everything I've shared today really has the ultimate aim of helping you change the way that you see yourself and what you believe you're able to achieve. And so these tips, visualizations, taking small steps, making it fun, talking about it, they will all contribute to you fundamentally seeing yourself as the person you want to be right now, which is the best way to make sure you stick to your goals. Remember, we act in a way that is consistent with the way that we see ourselves. And there you have it, my 5 tips to help you stick to and achieve anything you want. These steps aren't just actions, they're a new way of thinking, a blueprint for personal transformation. If you found these tips helpful, I encourage you to put them into practice. Start small, but start today. Let me know in the comments what you want to achieve and how you intend on getting there. And I'll see you in the next video.